Talk about a scary level for the markets. If there was ever a time to be a little bit on edge, it is surely today, sitting at about $400 on the S&P. Now, why that is so important is because last time we were at these prices back here about April of 2021, we ran up from about 380 to 400 in only a couple days time. So if we break under 400 and we get a bad CPI report, something negative happens, that could be the next stop. And at that point, you're just in no man's land. So we're going to talk about what is going on today. What is causing this move to the downside? What do we have setting up for us tomorrow? We do have SOFI earnings. SOFI stock is down about 9% today. We're going to get into all of that information that you guys need to know. Talk about something that is slightly bullish for the markets. Kind of give you guys both sides of the coin as far as today is concerned. So if you guys find value out of this video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys that have already went ahead and did that. So do you guys want the good or the bad news first? No, I guess we'll start off with the bad news, because the good news, a little bit smaller, obviously. There's not as much good news to go over today. But here's the bad news. Essentially, Victory Day in Russia was pre-market today. Was like 3 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. Russia essentially blamed the West for the war. They said, hey, it's inevitable. Russia and NATO are going to go to war one day, and kind of stoked more fears about that, potentially inflation lasting a lot longer in the energy and food markets. Other than that, you had some very hawkish comments out of the UK, out of a lot of Fed speakers over there. And they're basically calling for a deep recession, that there's no way out of this stagflation that they are starting to see. Basically, brace for a very deep recession. I think those are two of the biggest things that are weighing on markets here today. Now, a lot of what you're seeing as well, and why the NASDAQ is down something like almost 4%, and the Dow Jones has actually been coming up for a majority of the day. A lot of money is actually flowing into the Dow from the NASDAQ, is because a lot of the stocks that really control the markets, think about your largest companies of the world, your Apples, Amazons, Googles, Nvidias, Teslas, right? They're NASDAQ companies, they're S&P companies, right? But mostly NASDAQ. So a lot of the money is getting sucked out of the NASDAQ and S&P and put into some safety stocks. Now, by and large, most things are pretty red today, but some of your safety stocks are actually green today. You also did get some bad earnings. Palantir down 20%. A lot of stocks are down 15 to 20%. Look at Rivian. That thing is getting destroyed today because everyone wants to sell their stock for super cheap. You did have Fed Bostic as well that spoke earlier today, saying pretty much not good things. Bostic says risks are two-sided. Economy can go in multiple ways. So the Fed's coming out and saying that the economy could go in multiple different ways. They don't sound very confident. They don't really sound like they exactly know what they're doing. They're kind of throwing darts with their eyes closed and hoping, to hit the board. So for a lot of reasons, including that, the markets are selling off today. Now, I will tell you the bullish news is actually that bond yields are dropping. Bond yields did drop by 0.039% today. What does that essentially mean? Well, if you pull up TradingView, you could see that pretty much... Oh, get the hell out of here. Why is it going to do that to me? Pretty much bonds and stocks kind of correlate the same. If we do go ahead and pull up, I hate that it does that. The S&P overlaid with TLT, the 20-year Treasury bond ETF. The bond ETF, obviously the candles in the back. The line right here, the orange, is the S&P 500. You can see that they've pretty much been both straight down. There could be a bit of a lag between the two, but when one starts to reverse, usually the other one will follow suit pretty shortly after that. And today is actually the first day in a long time that you're actually getting a green candle. on the bond market, on the 20-year bond ETF. Stock market obviously selling off quite dramatically today. Watch for that $400 level, like I said. But if we continue to see bonds kind of start to backtrack and potentially yields coming down, that could be very, very bullish for equities. That tends to happen. You guys can see these charts are almost identical in the sense of, what's been happening recently. 2020, this whole correlation over the past 2 years has been pretty much spot on, right? Some are more dramatic, like in the equity markets. The moves can be a lot bigger because obviously bonds don't move around a lot, but they are for the most part, and do for the most part, correlate to a very large extent. And that's why the markets have been selling off so much. Bottom line, the bonds are leading the way. When investors sell off bonds that can yield you 3%, why the hell would they buy a stock that's dropped 25% year to date, like the NASDAQ or the S&P? The NASDAQ is down about 25% year to date. The S&P is down 16.17% year to date since the first day of trading of 2022, January 3rd. We've gotten destroyed. And if you're not going to take 3% on a bond that is a guaranteed income, you're not going to buy stock. So that's really what is going on. Long story short. Now, what do we have setting up for us tomorrow? Well, we obviously know CPI is on Wednesday. No surprise there. We got that 8:30 in the morning. Core CPI comes out. That's going to be the most important metric because that is minus food and energy, which the Fed cannot control. So if core CPI is good, that's great. We kind of expect CPI in general to be high, but we kind of expect core CPI to come down a little bit. Now, for what we expect tomorrow and what the news that we are actually getting is, so you have a lot of Fed speakers, lots of Fed speakers. You have Fed Williams, Fed Bostic. You also have Fed Waller, Fed Mester, and then you have Fed Bostic again. So you have Fed Bostic twice, Fed Mester, Fed Kashkari. He also spoke over the weekend, and then Fed Williams. So you do have a lot of Fed speakers, and that's kind of going to move the markets in a big way. If they kind of reassure that the Fed is on course, they're doing what they need to do, right? That they're not behind the curve, and that just give us some sense of they know what they're doing. Right now, it feels like the Fed has no clue what they're doing, and markets are picking up on that. That's why when Fed Jerome Powell said, yeah, we're not going to raise rates by 0.75%, at least at the next two meetings, the bond market totally disagreed, and people sold off the bonds with fury. Like, this thing got absolutely dumped the next day after the Fed meeting right here, down 3.3%, or about 3.5% this day. That was very historic. The bond market disagreed, and they said, yeah, well, we're not going to pay 3% because we think you're going to raise a lot faster than that, and you're going to be a lot more aggressive. So yeah, we're going to sell off the bonds, and that's why the NASDAQ was down almost 6% to close the day this day. So that's why it's so important. Fed comments will be key, and we specifically want to see, are they getting more relaxed on their tones about raising rates, or are they doubling down? Are they saying they need to go even past neutral, which would be about 2 to 2.5% for the federal funds rate? Neutral being just not accommodating the markets, not restricting accommodation, not adding to it, right? Like it says, neutral, not really doing anything to affect the economy. You could argue what the neutral rate is, and a lot of people do argue that, but widely seen as in between 2 and 2.5%. Now, some people are saying they need to go even higher than that, like 3 or 3.5%. So if you start to see even more dovish Fed members start to talk like that we need to go above neutral, it could freak out the markets even more. But I will say, given the drop that we have already seen in equity markets, I think a lot of that is priced in. Like, to be completely honest with you guys, I don't think it would be a huge surprise to see some of the more dovish members of the Fed, like Fed Daily, come out and say we need to go to neutral or beyond neutral. I don't really think it would be a huge shocker to the markets. Like, it's not something we have not heard before, right? And you're down dramatically. So really, if we can hold above 400, possibly could get a decent size bounce. I would even estimate to 420 or 425, maybe 430. That would be the real resistance level up here. But that's going to be the real test by the end of the day today. Do we stay above 400? Do we see one of these crazy end of the day rallies, or do we see an end of the day sell-off? If we see an end of the day sell-off and we close under 400, watch out below. Like I said, it gets pretty scary pretty quick. But overall, you are seeing a lot of support around 400. We did break under there right here, briefly right here, and right here. So 3 times we have broke under 400 today. We have not really stayed under that for more than like 10 minutes total. So, you know, it could be a lot worse in that regard. You know, we could struggle getting back above 400, but it's pretty easy, and I think you are getting a lot of orders that are coming through under 400. A lot of buys that are coming through on the markets, and that is helping to at least keep some things stable. Some stocks are just getting destroyed. I mean, look at SOFI, down 8.77%. Absolutely ridiculous. Hitting a new all-time low today at $5.81 per share. Now, SOFI stock does report earnings here, not too far out into the future. I believe it's tomorrow, and we will double check exactly. Hold on. Yeah, Tuesday in after hours, you get SOFI, Roblox, Oxy, Trade Desk, Coinbase, Unity, Array Technologies, Wynn Resorts, Matterport, and Rocket. So a lot of retail stocks there Tuesday and after hours. SOFI, obviously the biggest retail stock out of that group, and that's going to be very, very important. As well as that, obviously SOFI does directly correlate with the bonds, Fed, and fintech. I say that all the time, so it's no surprise. You know, the SOFI is down 9% on a day like today where stocks are getting destroyed. Bonds, you know, the bond yields are coming down a little bit, but it's not really enough to offset the pain you are feeling in the equities market. So just $400, that's going to be a key level. We'll talk about, you know, more about SOFI and kind of what I expect for earnings tomorrow, but it's going to be a big one. I mean, at this point, you're at $5 and some change. You're either looking at $3 or you're looking at potentially around $8, right? That's kind of what you're looking at heading into earnings. I don't think it's going to be too hard to really impress after earnings because expectations are already so low. And you can see from the option activity, a lot of puts that are coming through on the option chain right now. So that's kind of unfortunate. In a sense, I think a lot of them will likely get burned after earnings, especially if the Fed does give us a bullish uplifting to the markets tomorrow, or if CPI is good. That's really going to help SOFI in a substantial way. Now, you are seeing one order totaling $60.39 thousand for the option activity, but we could see there's a lot of negative option activity today. I'm not sure exactly why it only says $60,000 worth and only one order, because there's a bunch of orders. A lot of them are puts. You do have some calls in here, but for very high dollar amounts. Like some of these puts, that's almost $1 million 2024 1250 put position. They are artificially shorting this stock into the ground, and it's quite a shame, if I were to say so myself. Now, the short interest of free float is sitting at 19.78%. Current shares that are sold short of 143.98 million. Cost of borrow max of 4.33%. Utilization again still at 100%. Days to cover at 3.92. So if we do see a big bounce in the markets, I don't know what will cause it. I don't know when it will happen, but I know it will happen. There's going to be a lot of pressure on those shorts in SOFI stock to potentially get out of their short positions. After all, the way to close out a short position is to buy back the shares that you have shorted. So that's going to be key. Watch the $400 level. We are dancing around 400. It's quite incredible to see what the trading algorithms like to do around key prices like 400. I mean, come on, algos, just send us down. At this point, just send us all the way down and peel the band-aid off, or the duct tape, whatever your analogy you want to use, or let's just get this bounce already. This is nasty. This is so nasty. Down 25% in 5 months in the NASDAQ. I know you guys have a lot of pain in your portfolios. I feel you there. I am in the same exact boat. I'm down like 50, 60% or more on my SOFI position. But I will tell you, obviously not financial advice. Anything can happen. But I think you're a lot closer now to a bottom than we have seen in a very long time. You're seeing full-on capitulation in different sectors of the markets on pretty much any given day, and I think it really started here this day. It was just these days over the last 2 weeks, just full-on capitulation, just almost every day, almost every single day. It's been tough. So hang in there, guys. You know, the day you plant the seed is not the day you reap the harvest. Something that's very important to know is when you are making positions in SoFi or any other stock, and you're expecting a result right away. Think about the farmer. You plant the seed, you don't see anything for a while after that. So we just broke under 400, now back above. We'll see. We'll see. You do have AMC earnings here in after hours. You have a couple other players as well, including Upstart, Plug Power, Novavax, Clover, Ater, Tattooed Chef, Blink, and Lemonade. So some pretty important retail stocks there as well. But obviously AMC, SoFi, those are going to be the biggest for the whole retail investment community. So that is going to be all for this video. Let's hope for the end of the day rally. Maybe get us back up to 405. If not, that is all fine. I hope you guys enjoyed your time here in this video. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, do what you guys got to do in that regard. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.